Hello, in this video, Dr. Sung is going to demonstrate how to prep class 2, test number 30, mandibular, first molar, and MO preparation. If you stick on this technique, you will really enjoy. I'm using the Loma Linda University instruments, so these are the things that you're going to see during the exam, or you will receive these sets. So these are the instruments that I'm going to use. This one is the Explorer, made by Hugh Freddy, and this is the EXD2. This size, this working end side is 0.5 millimeter. So in the textbook it says, or in the Dr. Stevenson's video, it says that the tip portion, the 1/10 portion is 0.5, but that is for this conventional Explorer. If you see this side is almost 1 millimeter, while only the 1/10, this tip is 0.5. But this Explorer made by the Hugh Freddy, this whole area is 0.5 millimeter. So I bought a caliper to measure it, and according to the caliper, this one is 0.5 and this one is almost 1 millimeter, and only the tip is 0.5 millimeter. So don't be confused, okay? So it is good to have a caliper to measure your instruments, because your instruments will be the ruler. And this one is a Holland bag. It is very good to clear the proximal clearance on the gingival clearance and the buccal and the palatal clearance. This one is 0.1 millimeter. 0.5 millimeter in its width. This one. So it is the same with the Explorer. So Holland bag, and this one is the gingival margin trimmer. I'm going to use this gingival margin trimmer to trim the axial pulpal line angle. When I trim the axial pulpal line angle, I'm going to use this gingival margin trimmer. Gingival margin trimmer has two sides. Do you see the difference? If you see them, I will magnify it for you to see it better. Okay, one is beveled. You look the same. Probably if I place it like this, you'd appreciate it more. So this angle is, wait a minute, the pen is not working. So it is beveled like this, while this one is beveled like this, right? Do you see that? Sorry, let me just twist it a little bit more, like this. So the reason why this one, the upper one, has a bevel like this is when you are cutting, when you are working on the mesial side, you can bevel it off like this. So since we are using the we are prepping MO preparation, we are going to use this gingival margin trimmer to bevel the axial pulpal line angle. Okay, and when you are using the gingival margin trimmer, we are going to use a twisting motion. And this one is good for the distal side, because let's assume that this one is distal, then it is very perfect to fit on the distal side. So as I draw on this paper, let's say here is the axial pulpal line angle. I'm going to slightly make it upright and then bevel this surface. Got it? So this one is for distal surface. If I'm trying to use with the visual side, it doesn't work because the bevel is like this, right? So don't be confused. You need to know the gingival margin trimmer very well. And this one is the enamel hatchet. This enamel hatchet is 1.2 millimeter. As you can see here, it has a 12, 10, 16, right? So the 12 is the these working ends width. So 12 millimeter is a perfect size for the gingival seat. So do you see that I made a gingival floor 12 millimeter, 1.2 millimeter? Yeah, sorry, it should be 1.2 millimeter, not 12 millimeter. Okay, so it should be 1.2 millimeter in width. So it is the perfect tool to measure. But the thing is that there is also 1.0 millimeter enamel hatchet. If you are used to using the 1.0 millimeter, then if you see this 1.2 millimeter, you will feel that, oh, this doesn't seem like it is 1.2. It seems like it is slightly bigger. Yes, it is bigger than 1.0 millimeter enamel hatchet. So if you are preparing Loma Linda dexterity test, bench test, or if you are studying here, or if you are using 1.2 millimeter, then you need to be familiarized, or you need to get used to using this enamel hatchet. And for you to use this, you must have adequate access for the proximal box. Don't make the proximal entry too small, end up damaging the adjacent tooth. So you will see that. You will see all of these procedures because I'm going to demonstrate them. So it comes with two sets, but they look the same. But their bevels are different. If you see them, their bevels are, let's see whether I can. Their bevels are different. One has bevel on, wait a minute. So basically, if I draw, let me just draw it. So one has bevel on this side, and the other one has a bevel on this side. So depending on the side which that you are working on, you need to choose among these two. Okay, so though they look the same, their bevels are different. Okay, so keeping it in your mind, let's work. But before that, let me draw. So here is the tooth, because the way you draw will be transferred to the actual tooth prep. Okay, and you will really appreciate it for sure. Alright, so here we have a wonderful tooth. Let me focus them, and alright, and let's draw some grooves. And it has a Y shape, and this one has a groove, and it has zigzag going up and like this, and like this, and like that. Okay, good. And I can draw here the distal groove, though it seems like, okay, let's forget about this groove. Okay, alright, so the burr that I'm going to use is a 30-30 burr. I'm going to only use a 30-30 burr. You can use 245 or any other burr, but in the dexterity test, 30-30 burr and 245 burr, 30-30 and 245 burrs are given. The characteristics that Loma Linda provides the bird 330 bird that Loma Linda University provides is that it is made in Germany. And this one, if you see the diameter, it is only 0.6 millimeter in its its dimension, and length is 1.6 millimeter. Okay, but 245 it is. If I draw 245 here, 245 is longer. And its diameter is 0.8 millimeter. Okay, 0.8, and length is, I think it is 3.0 millimeter. So just to make it clear, I think it is almost 2.5. Okay, but like it's 3 millimeter, I think, approximately, and I think it is also 0.6, which is sold in Loma Linda. Okay, yeah. But if you see the dimension in the internet, it is a 0.8, and even the 330 bird is 0.8. But the birds that they LLU for this brand is 0.6. All right, so yeah. But the case says it is 0.08, but it is not. So who is correct? This is another branded bird, but this dimension is 0.8. I checked it last time. You see, exactly 0.8. So this bird is small, but yeah. So I'm going to use this bird. I can use this bird, there is no problem with that, but this is the bird that you will be receiving. Okay, so just to forget about the dimension, don't forget about the dimension. And since this one is 0.6 millimeter, if I punch twice here, if I punch 0.6 millimeter here and 0.6 millimeter here, then how many in total? Yes, 1.2 millimeter. Right, 1.2 millimeter in this diameter. And if I place this this explorer on the side, let's say here, okay, the height of contour, if you see the proximal surface, of these tooth, let me draw it nicely. Okay, alright, so this is the tooth that we have. Okay, so this is known as a height of contour. This portion needs to be cleared. Okay, how many millimeter? Yeah, 0.5 millimeter. So the proximal surface needs to be wide open. This surface needs to be gone, and this 0.5 millimeter enamel hatchet must pass through. Okay, so let's assume that this is the 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter. So I need to I can burr it until here. Oh, wait a minute. So let's assume that I have placed the 0.5 millimeter and explorer here, and I burr mark here, which means I'm going to extend the burr until this point. Okay, so I'm also going to, let's assume that it needs to be, the proximal surface needs to be like this. Okay, following the contour, following the outer contour, and it needs to be like this. Okay, so I'm going to place the burr mark like this and burr mark like this, telling that I'm going to prep this whole thing with burr, and I'm going to make it flat using the enamel hatchet. So which means I'm not going to burr until here. I'm not going to burr until here, because if I place, let's draw another drawing, you will really appreciate it. Please be patient with this concept, because you really need to get this concept, and if you have a clear picture in your mind, you will not make mistake. So this is the magnified view of the prep, the drawing that I drew a while ago, and let's assume that you place the 0.5 millimeter explorer to its side, and you assume that, oh, I need to extend it this much, okay, and you end up placing your burr here, okay, or you have extended using burr like this, okay, and then, oh, now it is time to use the enamel hatchet. So you brought your enamel hatchet and you began to crack it down, but the thing is that since the carver surface line should be, you know, perpendicular here, then you end up creating a lot of gap here. Do you understand? So to avoid it, you had to have created burr stop or burr groove until here, so that you will end up, you know, making nice carver surface 90 degree and a flat surface flaring, and you will achieve just a good size. Okay, so don't overextend with the burr, but you always estimate or assume that you are going to, you know, make it flat, creating this butt joint. Okay, this is known as a butt joint, right? Okay, so keep these things, keep these principles in your mind. So you need to know until where to extend. Okay, so going back to this drawing, nice beautiful outline we have created, and probably as you go down, as you prep down, there will be also gingival clearance, and I'm going to also show you to prevent chipping off the surface in this video. And the principle of making this prep is always include the grooves in the center. Okay, so these are the grooves. So basically it is very easy, just to, you know, center the groove in the prep. English is my second language, though I don't, I'm a Korean, though I don't speak Korean that fluently, but please excuse my English as well. I really appreciate your patience. Just to center the groove in the prep, and you will end up making it so beautiful. And here I want to preserve this good cusp, right? Here is a good cusp, so make it gently flowing. You see how it is beautiful, and go up, including this groove at least to at least to 1 millimeter. And since we don't cut cross like this, but just to include the groove in the middle. Okay, wow, nice, right? Just by looking at it, it's beautiful, right? The size of this isthmus, at least it should be 1 millimeter. So what is 1 millimeter? This ball burnisher, this nice small ball burnisher is exactly 1 millimeter. Yeah, this is 1 millimeter. Okay, exactly this one is 1 millimeter, and the other side ball burnisher is 1.5. All right, you can also use a gingival margin trimmer, but since it is sharp, I don't recommend. But this round ball burnisher is round and it just gently flows. That's why you can check the isthmus size and also the groove size. It should be at least 1 millimeter. The reason why it should be 1 millimeter is that amalgam needs to have enough strength. At the same time, you need to introduce your instruments to condense them. Okay, condense well so that you can. If it is too small, you cannot put your condenser inside and condense them well. And we want the amalgam to have enough bulk strength. Okay, and then after you prep everything, you can use the actual pulpal lining gingival floor to remove the bevel, to remove the actual pulpal line angle, making the bevel. So 0.5 millimeter bevel I'm going to place. So this one will be bevel. Good, right? Just by looking at it, it looks good. And if you do the cross section here, you will see that the teeth needs to have some convergence. Internal line angle will be smooth, will be rounded because of the 330 burr. 330 burr is a beautiful burr. With this, you can make it. So this one is the cross-sectional view, and of course the proximal box will be also convergent. Okay. You don't need to make it really flat. It can be slightly round. Yeah, but the flatter the better, because it is the matter of resistance form. Because if it is round, the restoration might rotate, but since it is a very solid material and it has a lot of extension on the occlusal surface, so it will not rotate. So if it is a composite, just to take it easy, just to make it flat, just to make the wall, you can make the wall flat, or since it binds to the tooth with the bonding agent and micro mechanical engagement, so yeah, don't be troubled with the composite. But when you're prepping with the amalgam, you need to be concerned about the convergency. And since we don't have dovetail here, the distal extension, the dovetail, the margin area divergency is not a big matter, because the margin area needs to be almost parallel or slightly divergent. But yeah, just to be a little bit concerned about it, because it might be graded. So let's try it. So keeping all these things in your mind, having good principles foundation, and as I told you, I'm going to punch very tight to the margin, the adjacent tooth joint. Okay, give a good mark. I don't know whether you can see. Yeah, you can see that I have, since we cannot use a pencil, I'm using the burr as a pencil. And let me just use the new burr, because in the exam you will be receiving a new burr. And total, yeah, here I have the new burr mounted on it. And always you can, if you cannot see well, you can pull the burr slightly outward, okay, or inward, outward, inward, but make sure that it is well seated and well held by the handpiece. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit long so that you can see it better. So alright, and then one more shot. So I made this one. I made this one. Let's encircle this. So I'm now going to make this one. I'm going to increase the RPM, but in the exam you might not use the electronic handpiece, but you might be using the air driven. So that is some variant. So I'm using the electronic, which I can adjust the RPM. And second step is I'm going to make the mark. So put it tight to the proximal surface, okay? And I'm not going to, as I explained it to you, I'm not going to really burn mark the flat to the, just near to this area, but I'm going to make it slightly inner than. So here I'm going to make it not here, but I'm going to make it here, slightly. For this buccal side, I'm going to make it slightly parallel to this area. Okay, and also on this lingual side. Alright, so this one is a kind of big extension. Good. So now it is the time to make the proximal box. For you to see, I'm going to make it like this. I have marked the place. So just drill down. Check whether I have extended enough. And one more thing that you need to do is that you need to know how deep it sinks. So probably this much should be good. So I'm gonna sink the burr until this much. So approximate it and then sink the burr. Once you made a boundary with the 330 burr, it is very safe to move parallel to buccal, because the upper portion is not cutting, only this portion is until this much is cutting. So if you sink this much, it is not cutting though you move it, side to side. So if you want to extend it, you need to pull it, you need to use the pull up motion to cut, brush up motion. Okay, good. And I'm going to show you one very important thing. Let's assume that I'm going to make a proximal box on this distal area. I'm going to show you a very important thing that many students miss. Alright, so some videos you were taught to chip it off by rotating it, because this is a good because it protects the shield, right? But if you chip it off like this, what will happen is that, can you see that I damaged this portion, but the side one chips off together. Do you see that? Creating unwanted damage on the tooth structure. Do you see that? It damaged this wall, chipping off along with the proximal surface. So this happens. So my recommendation is that don't never avoid chipping off using the side motion. Then you might end up damaging the wall that you want them to be intact. It is the same with the gingival floor. If you chip the gingival floor just by rotating like this, then you will end up damaging this whole chunk, right? You might feel happy like having the shell, but you will end up this portion damaged because this whole chunk were taken out. So you should I really recommend you not to not to chip that off like that. But the way you can do is, I'll show you. I'll make it extend more. Okay, so in this case, the way I break this gingival seed is by using the burr, by giving the clean cut. You see it. Did you see it? I am slightly rotating the 330 burr, making it clean cut. I didn't chip that off, but just cutting them, I was able to make the floor very smooth, the margin, the carver surface margin, very smooth. And what we can do for this rest of the chips, we can use enamel hatchet. We can use the proper angled enamel hatchet to remove. When you remove, don't remove it like this, twisting, but you need to give the vertical force. You need to give vertical force so that you will have a clean cut. Okay, if you chip that off, twisting motion, then you will end up making this irregular margin area. But if you cut it vertically, you will make it clean. Okay, so keep this in your mind. We are going to apply on this tooth prep. So once I achieve the good depth, and what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to incline the burr slightly. But being careful not to damage the adjacent tooth. And checking with the proximal surface depth whether I can safely access to it or not. If you work on it, you will see the indentation, or you will see the height that I have created. Isn't it funny that like the dust, the portion which is submerged on this portion is clean, and the top portion is dusty, telling you that how far you have gone in. So like this, you can actually place your burr and see how far you have gone deep, right? It's so cute, right? Okay, I like it. So in this way, you know how far you have gone deep. So I'm keep drilling on the side. I think I broke it. So I broke it. I can see that there is some, you know, do you see that? Wow, amazing. Isn't it good that I made a clean cut down below? You can see it. You can see enamel, you know, explorer passing through, right? Beautiful, beautiful. So in this manner, you can you can avoid damaging these tooth, and also you can damaging the margin area, because like I've been always wondering why am I chipping this side off, but the problem was that I've been chipping this whole thing off and the floor off, but then it just you know, detaches along with it. So this is the way that you can prevent. And actually I can extend until here, so I'm using the 30-30 burr to extend it more laterally, lingually, and check whether my extension is good enough. Okay, and then I also this buccal side is good, and I can actually deepen it because my mark is until here. So I'm going to use the 30-30 burr, following the outer contour. Okay, it is very important to follow the outer contour. So following the outer contour. Don't make it flat. You'll end up making it ugly if you are doing that. Okay, so just to flatten the floor, not deepening it. It is very safe because the shank is non-cutting. It is very safe too. And do you see that I'm holding my handpiece just, you know, perpendicular to the long axis. I'm not holding it like this, I'm not holding it like this, but perpendicular. It is very important, very important. So since the proximal box is too, you know, too deep, I'm going to open up this occlusal surface so that I can have a better visibility here. So what I do is that since this 30-30 burr is 1.6 millimeter, I'm going to think about 1.4 millimeter and leaving 0.1 or 0.2 millimeter reduction as I finish them up. But for now, I'm going to just drill 1.4. Points where I'm going to do the punch is here, the visual pit and the central pit, and also middle of it, and also the grooves and the middle of it. And the more you do punch, it'll guide you better. That's my personal opinion, but it depends on, you know, how you prep. So let's do it. So always check angulation here like this. You can do it with the meter. Mouse meter is beautiful and perfect. If I show you how I do, I would check like this, okay, to check the perpendicularity. Okay, so for now, since I'm demonstrating it, let me do it like this. Okay, good. Stop, and then here. Oh, if you see this surface, it has two. One goes here and one goes here. Actually, it is a zigzag, right? Zigzag. So here. If you miss it, then you will end up making it straight, creating this surface to be reduced more, and this surface under reduced, and it'll end up ugly preparation. So you need to always center the grooves. Okay, that is the purpose of making this restoration, right? We need to include the grooves. because that is the portion where the caries happens. So and also here. Good. This surface, this transverse ridge area is deeper than the piece area, because yeah, this, you can see the bulk here, right? So you expect that them to be deeper. And also intercostal area. Okay, I think I misplaced this a little bit, but as I extend it, let's include them. Okay, and then groove. Check whether it is in the center of the groove. Okay, and alright, perfect. And then only this one is slightly misplaced, seem to be. But as I widen it 1 millimeter, because it is still 0.6, so there is a mercy. I'm going to extend, connect them. Alright, good. Okay, when you connect this, I really recommend you not to go here right away, but go just slightly like this, so that you will have a room to make it more S-curve, because S-curve like Coca-Cola. Let's not talk about Coca-Cola, which is very carcinogenic, but yeah. It should be like a body line. And this one, we really need to center the groove. Many students miss this groove centering in the prep. Like sometimes they go badly off. Let's say this one is the groove supposed to be, but they go like making it groove here or like this, but that is not good. A lot of deduction of points will be there. So here, centering the groove, I'll magnify so that you can see it better. Yeah. So I'm going to, we don't use a pencil during the exam, so I'm not drawing with a pencil, mechanical pencil, but the way you do is that you slightly incline the burr and make a mark and check whether you have oriented the burr in the right way. You see, I made it in a wrong place, so I have a since I just left a slight mark, I can correct them. So you need to really make sure that you are orienting the burr in the right way. Just a slight sharp and check. For this time it is better, but I can make it slightly more mutual. Just a slight. This is really how I do. So since we need to make a 1 millimeter, we still have a merciful 0.4 millimeter modification. So make it into 1 millimeter. You can use the brush stroke if you are confident with the path. See how it is good, and especially the upper portion is even smaller than 0.6 millimeter, because the more you go up on this burr, it becomes smaller, about 0.4 millimeter. So that's why you need to use a brush stroke, making it all even 0.6, but later on you need to make it into 1 millimeter at the end. And let's smoothen this surface. right into the groove. Beautiful. Okay, great. This one also slightly more into the groove. Alright, okay. This seemed to be exaggerated because I placed the groove in a punch in a wrong place. Please forgive me about making that mistake. This portion needs to be rounded up. So do you see that? Since I have reduced this portion more, it is higher than this side. So I think this is also very good concept that you need to learn. Let's say that I made that mistake intentionally for me to introduce this concept. So if you see the tooth, let's say this is the center of the groove, and sometimes not oftentimes you will see this hilarious wall. Have you ever had this kind of tooth prep? This side is short, but this side is very long, very deep. What do you think is the cause of this happening? It is because actually it is supposed to be, if it is before the prepping, this is the original tooth structure. So which means this is the center of the groove. Let's assume that this is the center of the groove. You rather removing the tooth structure evenly, but you end up, removing this portion more than this portion, right? Then the prep would look like this. That's why you need to be always center the groove in your preparation. Alright, so please understand that I just made an off center on purpose, but though still it looks like it is good. So this parallel surface, this surface is slightly higher than this surface. It is because it is off center. But let's see. And that's why centering the groove is very important. So I'm going to make groove here. Always orient the burr along with the groove. So if you orient the burr like this and drill, then you will end up making, groove off center. Because the groove is in this way, right? So you need to orient towards the along the groove. Just a slight cut and check. Oh, it is going off, so I need to modify it. So check, always check. The tooth prep is millimeter matters, okay? 0.1 millimeter matters, so understand. So don't just go wrong everything. Do little and check, do little, check, and when you're confident, then you go, okay? So oh, good. It's well centered, right? So let's go deepen it a little bit more. Brushing stroke, like brushing up is a very good technique. It doesn't create ledge, but if you are up and down stroke, then you might end up making steps. So brushing, I like brushing stroke. It is very gentle and extending very gently. Okay, good. So now I'm going to remove this portion. First make the floor even with the good plane. The key of making the even plane is you need to hold your handpiece very perpendicular to the long axis of the tooth, like this, not like this, not like this, okay? Then you will end up making deep here, but not like this. You will end up making this surface very deep and this surface shallow. So make it perpendicular, okay? Sorry that you're not seeing it, but please bear with me. I need to see it well for me to present you good tooth preparation. So it requires a lot of attention. I cannot, talk much while I'm doing some sensitive work. Actually, the making the floor even is a very sensitive work because, since this bird is less fluid, it doesn't have a lot of fluid, which means that it can catch the corners and I don't know whether you have noticed sometimes and then it catches the angle and it goes to the side where I didn't want it to go. So I need to have a good strength on my on the handpiece for me to give a better control. The check, it looks like kinda smooth on the floor, and I'm not going to start the S curve from here. I'm going to cut this portion only, and since this portion is already deep, I cannot cut fully sitting the burr. I'll show you. I cannot cut fully sitting the burr, but when I want to touch the cover surface margin of this portion, I need to lift the burr slightly so that the cutting fluid can touch this area. So, but very gently. I cannot, cut the margin, the cover surface or outer outline fully seated position. I need to slightly pull up the burr to trim and then sit it to flatten the wall. So in this case, I'm going to remove this portion. Check. Since I'm not using the mirror, I'm just taking the video. Check. Good. And this one is sharp. So I'm going to also trim that. I want you to see. Good. Right? And then I'm going to thin this shell. I need to be very careful on this case. So brushing motion is the safest way. Okay, and now get the enamel hatchet. It needs to be sharp. It is the sword, so sword must be sharp to cut the enemy down. So this palm technique I recommend you because this has a very good grip, and you can deliver the force very well, and you can, the reason why it is bent is for you to put your finger on. That's how I believe. And when you cut, you're cutting this, you need to really give a good bevel side. So when you're cutting it, you have to cut it like this, not like this. Okay, make the cutting bevel, making the butt joint or 90-degree cover surface. So I hold it like this and crack it down. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. There will be air syringe, so now you can check with the Hollenbeck. My good friend, Hollenbeck is very good for the proximal surface. You can actually cut or cut off the proximal surface. And then use the enamel hatchet some more. Do you see that very flat, right? Wow, well made. Very flat. And you can scrape the floor using the enamel hatchet. Okay, and the other side, lingual side. So while you are being ready for the start, before you start, you really need to sharpen the enamel hatchet. Okay, I have made a video on how to sharpen the enamel hatchet, so please watch the video and get perfect. Okay, because usually the instruments are dull, so the sharp instruments you will have less mistake. And chop chop chop, chop chop chop. And you really need to make your finger strength good. It is not easy if you haven't trained your finger. Okay, you will have some blisters or some thick skin or finger ache, but that is how we gain the muscle. Without enamel hatchet, it is almost impossible to get a good carver surface, good proximal box. So to flatten the floor, you can do the pull motion, and actually you can use the 330 burr. You don't need the 245 burr, but if you want to use, you can use. Since this surface is too rounded, I'm going to flatten it because sometimes it is difficult to remove with only the enamel hatchet. Okay, and then after making some groove or cleaning something, and I'm now using the enamel hatchet again to clean the floor. Good. Alright. So here I have a 0.5 Holland bag. Still it is tight, but I can pass it through. And also check the gingival floor. Slightly it is tight. Let's clean up. That's it. You should not use gingival floor to you should not bevel the gingival floor, okay? Because it is not composite, but it is amalgam prep. Very clean wall and well defined. And the only thing that you can bring to the test center is a loop. So I really recommend the loop that I'm using. It is amazing. Korean doctor made it. It is very affordable, yet it is a high tech. It has a 2 light system. On top of that, it is ergonomic, but it is very affordable comparing to other loops. So and the services are very good, and it is delivered most of the times within a week because it is pre-made and it is fully adjustable. So I really recommend you this loop. It gives you a lot of confidence because you can see better, and your posture doesn't require you to have a neck pain or back pain. So I'm using it and I'm very satisfied. I've been using other loops, but well, I feel so good with this. Now it is kinda clean, and I'm going to check the isthmus size using the bowl. Okay, the gingival floor is about 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter is okay, good. and this one is tight, and here it is also tight. So here I need to actually remove this portion, but since it has a burn mark, I'm going to reduce this portion and show you how it is different, the height is. And this grooves also needs to be, you know, increased 1 millimeter. Yeah, I'm using the 1 millimeter one. This one is kinda almost okay, but needs to be extended. This one. So this one, which side should I cut? If you see the side, this one is higher, right? So I'm going to cut this portion, smoothing this portion, and I'm going to cut a little bit of this portion. Let's do it. So holding the burr always perpendicular to the long axis. If you don't hold it perpendicular, you will end up making the floor deeper and still tight, but oh, it can pass. All right. Well, let's remove the burn mark. When you are removing, when you are making this bigger, it is always good to reduce this portion more than this, because this cusp is small, but always it looks like it is centered, so balance it well. I'm now using the feather touch technique, though I'm running it at the high RPM. I'm not really touching with force, but just to feather touch like a feather. Slight touch. I'm running at 200,000 RPM. Wow, so good, right? I like it. So, like this. Just round everything off. and also this side as well. And if you have made a step, just to push that with the burr, then you will correct them. You will see that the burr is sinking all the way down, which is telling you that you have made a depth like 0.6 millimeter, which is ideal, very ideal. And the deepest portion, not the cuspal area, because of course the cuspal area is deeper than the shallowest. So the shallowest portion needs to be 0.6. Okay. So this side as well, when you decided to cut, you also reduce this portion and just leave it something like this, but not the sharp. It looks good. And also make it clean. Good. All right. And sometimes let me just adjust this portion a little bit, but I like it. But let me just reduce this portion a little bit, and let me show you how to make this one curved following the outer surface, outer curvature. So get the burr, and I'm going to reduce this portion a little bit more. See that I have removed some more portion on the buccal side, and I'm going to use the enamel hatchet. The enamel hatchet is not meant to cut only the this buccal and the lingual wall, but it is also meant to you can also use this to cut this axial wall as well. It is a very good tool to use to make this good curvature. And as I told you, there are two sides of the enamel hatchet, not only this one, but there is the other side, this one. So I got, which is well adapting on this surface, on this axial wall. You see that there is a small portion which is sticking out. I want it to go out, making it curving nicely. So if you see this, now the axial wall is like this. If this one is the, let me draw again. Let's say this is the proximal box. This is the S curve, And if this is the gingival floor, here is some flesh or the dentin. So I'm going to remove them and make it rounded like this. Okay, so I'm going to use the enamel hatchet to remove this portion. Good, right? Just by giving one stroke, it is almost removed. And by giving some more strokes, wow! Just it is amazing, right? Just giving few strokes, I made it well following the outer contour. Okay, and also you can use the side of the long axis, side of this portion. If you see the enamel hatchet, there is a pointed portion, and the bevel is like this. So this long side, this line angle, is cutting. This side is cutting. This one is not cutting. Okay, not cutting surface. So using the side of the enamel hatchet, you can cut the actual wall. Okay, but since now it is looking good, I'm not gonna do. But let's make the floor flat. Okay, you can scratch it. You can move it back and forth. Back and forth, make it very, very smooth. You can easily achieve it with few strokes. And alright, and then now it is the time to, don't forget about it, beveling the actual pulpal line angle. So this gingival margin trimmer is not for this one is for the distal. So get the other one. Yeah, it is the perfect for this surface, right? So place it at the corner. The rounded one must go towards the wall, and then twist it. I can also use the palm grasp, and then hold it, and then engage it. I think it is not sharp, so it is not engaging well. Twist it. I can use the other side just to turn it and then engage it and then twist it. You can do this with burrs, but I'm afraid to damage the walls if I use burrs. But gingival margin trimmer, you can find it from the cassette. So this is a perfect tool actually. Enamel hatchet is somehow difficult to angulate 45, but 45 is not that acute angle, so you can achieve it. But gingival margin trimmer, if you have it, then why not? So yeah, do you see the distinct, very visible actual pulpal line angle that I beveled? It is good, right? And just to well define it with the will define the actual wall with one more time with the gingival margin trimmer, and then make it clean. Alright, I think it is ready to submit it. It is ready to submit. And you can also make the wall smooth, cover surface margin smoother with the by cutting with the enamel hatchet, but it's not necessary. I'm just doing it for fun. Yeah. So you are ready to submit and be passed. Alright, so here, since it is a class 2 prep, I'm going to show you how to place the groove. Actually, grooves are not required for the dexterity test or bench test, but it depends on the school. But in the school that I applied, it does not require groove, but during the lab, it is required. You can use the gingival margin trimmer. It should not be placed on the enamel, so just to abide in the, let the grooves abide in the dentin area only. So scrape that off. We are not going to place it on the actual wall, but we are going to place it on the just mesial, in this case mesial to the actual lingual line angle. Scrape that off, make a groove. You can make it with the gingival margin trimmer. The reason why we are not placing it on the actual wall is because we don't want to make it close to the pulp. So I don't know whether you can see it well, but there is some groove that I created, but for me I can see it very well. Deep. It is deep, and you can actually catch this with exploder. Okay? Actually it goes inside like this. You can hook it up. Good. And the floor is flat, and I'm going to place one more on this lingual side with burr. The burr that I'm going to use is the 1/4 burr. And how we use is that we are going to place it. I'm going to go it from the occlusal gingivally, not gingival occlusally, because I'm afraid I might overextend it. So get the point where I'm going to, the ending point, starting point, and then go down. Okay, oh, I made a very good grooves. So that's it. Beautiful preparation. Yeah, I think it is good. So just to keep it in your mind. And do you want to see whether I have damaged the adjacent tooth? I'm not perfect, so I can make mistake. If you see some mistake, please leave a comment below. Of course, you'd see a lot of mistakes. You have a very good eyes, but abiding on the principle, I tried my best. So please give me a good score. So here, I can see some scratches, I'm afraid, but yeah, but very minor. Just very minor. Oh no, that is not the surface that I worked on, but here just some scratches made by the enamel hatchet, but it is almost unavoidable. But since it is a plastic, it gives some scratches. But yeah, aside from that, it is good. I can see the good convergency, and if I take it out, let's take this tooth out too. Alright, almost there. Extracted, almost extracted. Bear with me. Alright. You see the good convergency created by the dentally burr. So there will be good retention form. And since all the cover surface, all the axial pulpal line angle is well beveled, there is a good resistance form. And the internal line angles are rounded, and there are good grooves. You see the grooves, right? So grooves with burr you can easily achieve. Yeah. And you can extend the groove more occlusally though, until this much. Right? Good. Here also. Like this. Good. Do you like it? Hope you like it. Yep, so this is the end of the video. Hope this video really helps you and you pass your exam. I look forward to seeing you success in dentistry and deliver patients good services. May God bless you and all the best.